Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, text 40. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pardhanaiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gacchati. Now Krishna, he concludes or he starts to conclude the result of the practice of Krishna consciousness or any sincere attempt at self realization without ulterior motives. What is the future of such kind of people? So he says, O Pardha, na eva iha na amutra. Iha means in this life, in this world, or amutra means in the next life or in another world where you may go at the end of this life. Upartha, neither here nor there, vinashas tasya vidyate. For a person who has executed transcendental activity, particularly Krishna consciousness, for him, vinashaha tasya na vidyate. There is no vinasha or destruction for that person. For a person who is engaged in Kalyanakrit, Kalyanakrit means activities which are auspicious in nature. Nahi kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Tata means, oh dear, durgatim naiva gacchati, na kaschit gacchati. There is no, durgati means bad destination. Gati means destination. Durgati means bad destination, bad result. There is no bad destination for a person who is engaged in Kalyanakrit. Kalyanakrit means auspicious activity, particularly Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada in the purport, if you read the purport, it's a big purport. He basically divides description of different categories of people. First he starts with Vikarmis, then Karmis, Gnanis, Yogis and Bhaktas. So Vikarmi means who are engaged only for sense gratification without following any rules and regulations of scriptures, committing all kinds of sinful activities, just exist only for satisfying their senses. That is not at all auspicious. They're destined for bad destination. Nobody can help them. That is called Vikarmis. They're more or less on the animal platform. And then there are Karmis who are interested in sense gratification but in a regulated way. They want to follow the scriptures. They want to follow dharma. Like for example, marriage ceremony. But they want sense gratification. But they want to be under the regulations of the scriptures. They are karmis. They are not fully auspicious, but slowly getting to the path of auspiciousness. Because they are also acting for sense gratification. At least they have some hope. And then the next is Gnanis, Yogis, the true Gnanis and Yogis, who sincerely are trying to understand who they are, who are trying to practice this mystic yoga, like how Krishna explained in this chapter. Truly trying to understand, not for the purpose of yoga siddhis and not for the purpose of assimilating knowledge for sense gratification, not that kind of people. That true, Prabhupada explains them as any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. So if their activity is aimed at self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life, that is also considered auspicious. And finally, Prabhupada concludes, activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. And no one who is trying his best in this matter need fear degradation. That means these other paths who are not direct bhakti paths, but if their goal is eventually to come to Krishna, that is also considered auspicious. If their eventual goal is sense gratification, that is not auspicious. So that is called Kalyanakrit, auspicious activity, activity which will lead us to Krishna consciousness, or activity in Krishna consciousness. That is called auspicious activity. And anybody who is engaged in that need not fear degradation. And the why fear degradation? Why that word is used? Because typically, when you don't care for your prescribed duties, then you have to pay for it. Like, for example, recently a man was arrested in US because there was a smoke alarm in the house, and they went, the fire team went, and they found shocking things happening in the house. This man was completely intoxicated, a drug addict. The one may say, oh, it's up to him why they arrested a intoxicant and a drug addict. There are many people like that. But then he had a small baby, months old baby, and it just started to walk and all that. And everywhere in the house, there are syringes. Everywhere in the house, there are accessibility for dangerous substances that the child can put in his mouth. And the bathroom is open, the sinks are open, the baby can enter anywhere, and everywhere there is complete filth and dangerous things happening. And he's just completely addicted, and he's not even in proper awakened stage, and the door is unlocked and the baby can go out. So for negligence of taking care of his duty towards the baby, he was arrested. He was given a sentence, and the baby was taken away and put in some care. So, of course, I'm giving a extreme example, but the point is that there are reactions for not doing our duty. We have a duty in this world as a father or as a mother, as a teacher, as a son, as a daughter, as a guardian, as a guru, as a leader of elected leader. They're all duties. And if we don't do those duties, we'll be punished. That is called degradation. We may get a bad birth in the next life for having neglected such duties. But then, here it is said, in this verse it is said, as well as Bhagavatam says, Narada Muni says, त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन् अपक्वोतपते ततो यदि यत्र क्व वा भद्रमभूदमुष्य किं को वार्त आप्तो bhajatam swadharmatah. What it means is, tyaktva swadharmam. Say, if one has given up all material prospects, given up all material duties, like that drug addict? No, not like the drug addict, but for a higher cause. He has given up all material duties and has taken up complete shelter of the Supreme Lord and has engaged in his service, not being able to do his duties properly. There is no loss or degradation in any way. Yatra kvava abhadram. Abhadram means inauspiciousness. Where is abhadra in that activity? On the other hand, if you engage yourself nicely, a non devotee may fully engage in occupational duties. But what is the gain in that activity? Yes, he may have done all these duties nicely, might have got a good birth in the next life for having done his duties. But if he is not with Krishna consciousness, what is the use? He will waste that life in sense gratification, again get into the vicious cycle of vikarma and get a bad birth. What has he achieved? So it is said, Aradhita yadi hari tapasa tatah kim, naradhita yadi hari tapasa tatah kim. Aradhita yadi hari means if you have come to the point of Krishna consciousness, then what is the need for doing all the tapasa tataha, all these prescribed duties and tapasya and all these kind of things? You already achieved that stage. You don't need to do all of that. On the other hand, if you have done all of that, but have not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, na aradhita yedi hari, tapasa tatah kim, what is the use of doing all those? So there was one in the king's kingdom, there was one criminal. So he was brought to the court, the king's court, and the king was giving the judgments to everyone. So previous to him, some robbers have come and all of that. And so king has put them in the prison and given sentence and all that. And then this man was brought and he was waiting to be judged by the king. And the king pardoned him. So I'm not punishing him. So put him in my one of my internal circles. I'll give him some duty. And then people were shocked. And the ministers were shocked. Why are you not punishing him? Previous to this, you have punished all these people. And not just punishing him, you have put him in one of your internal circles, given him an elevation. Why is that? And then the king said, see, one time when we were on the boat, and he was also going in another boat, and suddenly my son slipped and fell. And then he jumped from his boat, and then without looking whether it was cold water or not, without caring for his life, he swam across and he rescued my boy and got him back. And then he left, seeing me, thinking that I'll punish him because of him being criminal. So I found that he has it in him a good nature. He's maybe by circumstance he's taken up to this profession of robbery and doing all these kind of things. But by nature he is good. He has done good for me. So I have to utilize that. I have to benefit him. I've seen it personally. So that's why I'm not punishing him. And then this man, he's in tears and he gets transformed and wants to use that opportunity to resurrect his life. And it does resurrect his life. So, like that, anybody who does a little bit for Krishna sincerely, yeah, this seems to be nice. Let me give a shot at it. But he might have not taken care of other material aspects of his life, proper duties as a husband or as a son or whoever it is. But Krishna is like that king. He will not punish that person. He will make that person even more progress in Krishna consciousness. But what about his family? Krishna takes care of the family also. Even if that devotee neglects the family, Krishna takes care. Of course, it is not a license. Oh, in the name of serving Krishna, I neglect everything else. And then in the name of serving Krishna, I'm just doing sense gratification. Then Krishna will punish you for neglecting your duty. No, this is applicable for those who are genuinely serving Krishna. Krishna takes care of them as well as the family. So there was one devotee who joined the temple full time, and the parents had a lot of hope on him. So they had two sons. The elder son joined the temple, and then the younger son now has to take care of the family and all that. So the younger son is taking care of the parents. He's working outside and all of that. And so the younger son would always, speak bad about the elder brother. So he has given up all of this, and now I have to take care of everything. And he's married, and he's not able to save enough, and all of that. And the mother always would feel bad that this younger son is blaming the elder son for all this. And sometimes she would cry, and the elder son, on the phone call, the elder one would say, "It's okay, mother. It's okay. Let him speak whatever. This is a fact. It's okay. Whatever he's speaking, it's. I'm not feeling anything bad because I'm not this body. I'm ultimately spirit, soul. Nothing of this bodily fame and infamy. Sometimes he may abuse me. Sometimes he may praise me. This is all duality." So like that, somehow he was preaching. He was not affected. And one day, this younger son came to meet the elder son in the temple. And then he was crying. And then the elder son asked, "Why are you crying?" And then the younger son said, "And then today I realized how foolish I was. Because when you left the temple, when you left for the temple, actually you had an offer in this company. And because you recommended me, I got that offer. Otherwise, I would not have got that offer because of my situation. I was not as good as you academically. Purely because of your recommendation, I got that offer. And I was thinking it's because of my own power I got it. And I was abusing you all the time. And my manager told me recently that I needed to improve in my performance and revealed that you got the job purely because of your elder brother. Otherwise, you would have been nowhere. And even though you are not performing, we are still keeping you because of your elder brother. And then he started to, cry and then realize how actually it is because of his elder brother and Krishna somehow managing the family through that employer. Things are running, not because he is doing something great about. So, like that, actually, it is Krishna who takes care of every one of us. And we think, oh, it's because of me, things are running. So, if you do some Krishna's work, Krishna knows that your work is pending. How can Krishna not take care of that? So, you don't need to fear degradation. So, this girl asked her father, "So, Papa, so I'm in this grade. Now, this girl, so far I've came first rank. But in this grade to now I've been overcome by this other girl who got first. Now I got second rank." And the dad said, "That's okay. Sometimes you may get second. What is the big deal about it?" And the girl said, "No, I feel bad." Why? Because this girl was not supposed to be in my grade. And the dad asked why. She said, when she was young, this other girl who got first rank, she used to barely get 36, 37 marks and would pass that subject and then would get promoted to the next grade. And then she would keep on doing like that. She would just get barely enough marks. See, she didn't even deserve to be promoted, but they kept on promoting her to the next grade just because she got that minimum marks. You see, in our childhood also there is that minimum marks, isn't it, to go to the next grade. And then so the dad explained. He said that the purpose of the education system is the reason why they put that low marks. The purpose of the education system is to see whether a student has shown at least minimal interest to utilize whatever opportunity is given to him. That is one of the purposes. To see at least he has shown minimal interest to take that opportunity. So attaining that 36 marks shows that the student has at least shown some inkling to utilize the resources given to him. And the purpose is education system is to encourage and promote him so that he can continue to make progress. Similarly, in this human form of life, executing even a fraction of sincere Krishna consciousness means attaining that 36 marks out of 100 marks. So Krishna considers that as progress and gives opportunity as a human life again in the next birth. And then he'll perfect, just like this girl got the first grade now, or first rank now. So as this person keeps going up in Krishna consciousness, he will become more and more perfect in Krishna consciousness. So this is the power of the Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Naiva Gacchati. There is no degradation. And especially in this path of Krishna consciousness, the power of Krishna is so powerful, and it has been simplified particularly by our disciplic succession, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by the Acharyas. Prabhupada was once giving a class and he was talking about the auspiciousness that Krishna is talking about. He said, a spiritual life is the most auspicious life. And then he looked at around the devotees seated before him on the floor and he said, anyone who has done something nice, auspicious thing, oh, it will never be vanquished. He will never be put into difficulty. It is such a nice thing. And then there were question and answers. And so Prabhupada said, how nice this is. So somebody asked, so you are worshipping, so you say that people foolishly worship the photograph of somebody who has already gone. You gave the example of George Washington or some other person, politician. But you're also putting photos of Guru Parampara and we are also worshipping. What about that? And then Prabhupada said, yes, those who are spiritually advanced, they are non-different from their photograph. Just like Krishna, he is not different from his deity or his picture. They are non-different. So, just like that, a person who has attained that perfection of Krishna consciousness, they are not different from their pictures. And that is the way by which we get spiritual enlightenment and inspiration. And these are all various things that are there in the path of Krishna consciousness, which make our Krishna consciousness simple and easy, by which we can attain perfection. So the path has been simplified so much simply by chanting and hearing the name. We don't even have to understand. What can we understand? Krishna is completely transcendental, beyond the scope of our material abilities. He's called Adhokshaja. He's beyond our speculatory power. Adhokshaja means Adhakrita Akshaja Gnana. All these kind of things we recite, right? All this knowledge that we have, A to Ksha, is contained in these syllables. It has to be made with these syllables, and we get that knowledge. And if one thinks that by that knowledge I can understand Krishna, no, no, no. Krishna is way beyond that. Krishna knowledge cannot be understood by our mental speculation, by our knowledge. But Krishna is revealed by a pure devotee. When you serve the pure devotee, serving Krishna means serving the pure devotee. Krishna does not accept service directly. Krishna accepts service through his pure devotee. When we serve the pure devotee, Sevon Mukhehi Jihvadav Swayameva Spuratyadaha, then Krishna will reveal. By the mercy of the pure devotee, in the heart we get that Divya Jnana about Krishna. This is the path of Krishna consciousness. If you have that simple, submissive mindset, faith on the authority, faith on the spiritual master, then Krishna will reveal. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.